Hi everyone, so today we are going to be going over the study design assignment. So a good way to start is to break up your slides by using textbook subheadings. So when you go through your textbook chapter, I would use those different subheadings as the titles of your slides to kind of separate it, and essentially you are just paraphrasing the textbook chapter to make it easier for the class to understand. So it's helpful to assign each member of your group a different section of the textbook to tackle, so they'll read that, create their little set of slides, and then everyone can equally contribute. But make sure you do the readings for the whole chapter, so if anyone in the class has questions at the end, you have a complete understanding. So let's say your group was assigned Chapter 8, which is the case series study design. So you're going to want to start by defining what a case series is, and it may be helpful to explain to the class how a case series study differs from case report or case control study, because those are other terms they're going to see in the textbook that they may not be familiar with yet. So another helpful tip is to try and include some context and examples. So let's say I'm sticking with the case series study design. So after I explain the definition of the study, I could use an example to explain why it's different from a case report. So if I was giving my presentation, I might say a case report only describes one singular patient's experience, while a case series describes a group's experience with the disease or treatment. So an example of this might be if you were doing a case report on me, and I'm type 1 diabetic. So if you were doing a case report, you would only look at my experience with type 1 diabetes, but if you're doing a case series, you would look at like a group of college students who has type 1 diabetes. So you can use an example of this when you're presenting, or if you're doing like a correlational study design, an example might be, does the rate of asthma tend to be higher in cities with higher air pollution? So just providing that context and examples will be really helpful in trying to facilitate learning with your classmates. So you may also want to include some important steps or considerations to take into account when choosing the study design, and those will most likely be listed in your textbook. And remember, we want to engage with the class. So you don't want to just be reading off a slide. You want to give them examples, you want to give them eye contact, be engaged, be energetic, and we don't want to make the slides too text heavy either. So aim for a few sentences, like fill up the slide, but don't make it like you're reading a whole paragraph on the one slide. So then after you've presented your slideshow to the class, now it's time to test their knowledge. So my group made a Kahoot last semester, and I strongly suggest Kahoot. Everyone loves Kahoot. And then you can have each team member come up with like 2 or 3 questions to add to the Kahoot based on what their section of the textbook was. And you're going to aim for about 10 to 15 questions and make them difficult, so you know which parts of the presentation you may need to refresh with the class before you finish. And make sure to remember to go through the answers with the class after they've answered the Kahoot. You don't want to just answer it and then be done. Another thing you could do is make a Quizlet. So you could do helpful flashcards with definitions or other vocab used in the chapter, and then go through it with the class and have people raise their hands to guess the definition before flipping the card over. Or I know another option is quizzes. That's another fun, useful platform to test the class's knowledge. Kind of similar to Kahoot, you can play games, or you can do polls to see how well they understood the content of the class. So I think that's it. If you guys have any other questions, you can email me or come to my office hours, which are on Thursday from 1 to 3. If that doesn't work for me, you can always email me. All right, good luck.